Nice one. Distinguished guests, administrators, teachers, family, friends, my brother Chris, members of the class of 2017, my fellow Americans. Sorry, I have to pull out my communicator. There we go. Adulthood, the final frontier. These are the voyages of our future, our never-ending mission. To explore new relationships, seek out greater understanding, and growth in mind, body, and spirit, and to boldly go where no man has gone before. That's enough though, sorry. It just felt right, seeing as I think Comic-Con is going on next door. It just felt right. I will do my best to limit myself to that one Star Trek reference. Well, here we are. Graduation. We made it through the 4 years of challenges and obstacles. From our first high school finals to the junior thesis, we rose to the occasion and gave it all we had. I'm sure that some of you have been looking forward to this day since freshman year, while others have been dreading leaving the comfortable setting of Gonzaga Prep and entering the undiscovered country of college, work, the military, or your parents' basements. Michael Meyer. This will be one of the greatest transitions of our life. For the first time, we will be entering into a completely new atmosphere as adults and will not benefit from having our parents right there to help us through trying times. Next year will be hard. In the words of President Kennedy, we choose to go to college in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Okay. He didn't use those exact words, but I think the sentiment still stands. We will have to make new friends, figure out new routines, and a whole new campus. We'll have to deal with new teachers and administrators, but at least we can wear sweats and yoga pants on the daily. And we will finally have those off-campus privileges that were so unjustly stolen from us, through no fault of our own, as Ella stated. But we must never fear the future, because fear is the path to the dark side. As Yoda told us, fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, and hate leads to suffering. As we move from childhood to adult life, we will no doubt forget many things. We will forget the definition of political efficacy. We will forget the law of cosines, and we will forget that the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Well, maybe not that one, thanks to memes. We will forget all of this factual information, but the one thing that I hope that we've learned here at Prep is also the one thing we can never forget. And that is that when individuals work together, the whole group is raised up, and the impossible becomes the possible. Achievement becomes our destiny. Now, I would be remiss in my speech duties not to mention the same person that Ella mentioned. This man is the reason we have a graduating class of 213 and not 85. He is why I personally am standing up here today giving a speech to you all and not at Shadle Park High School's graduation. Thank God for that, because I do not look good in green. Mr. Al Faulkner has dedicated 43 years of his life to this school. He is responsible for the success of Fair Share at Prep and for helping hundreds, if not thousands, of students receive a Jesuit Catholic education. Countless families, just like mine, have been the beneficiaries of Mr. Faulkner's hard work. He has lived his life in the belief that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, or indeed the one. His legacy of selfless sacrifice and servant leadership will live on for generations to come. Thank you, Mr. Faulkner. You will be greatly missed. While I'm on the subject of thanking people, I would now like to thank every single teacher that I have ever had at Prep in under 30 seconds. Mr. Artie, Mr. Segadelli, Mr. Munhall, Mrs. Round, Mr. Stigliter, Mrs. Christopher, Mr. Kane, Miss McCardle, Mrs. Cook, Miss Whitbread, Senora Trainer, Miss Schlepp, Mrs. Oliva, Mr. Fuentes, Mr. Flanagan, Mr. Tomberry, Dr. Whitlock, Mrs. Lee, Father Lankenau, Senora Savada, Mr. Carroll, Mr. Manfred, Mr. Doherty, Mr. Hobbs, and last but not least, Miss McEwen. I apologize if that seemed a little weird, but if there's one thing that I've learned from 2 years in Mr. Carroll's class, it's that you should always add a touch of the bizarre. Thank you all for your dedication to your work and genuine compassion for your students. You all have taught me that the important thing in life is not to find a job that makes a lot of money, but to find something that you enjoy doing day in and day out. I look forward to the next 4 years and all of the promise they offer. We will have amazing opportunities to grow and expand ourselves into successful men and women. At the same time, I will miss the last 4 years. Friedrich Koenig said, "We tend to forget that happiness doesn't come as a result of getting something we don't have, but rather of recognizing and appreciating what we do have." As I look back on my high school career, I wish that I had appreciated and valued each day for what it was, a gift. I know that there was more than a few days where all I wanted to do was to go home. It is only now, standing up here before you all, that I realize that I won't ever get to have another class with all of you. In the words of Andy Bernard, I wish there was a way to know you're in the good old days before you've actually left them. For me, these have been the good old days, the ones that I will look back on in 40 years with nothing but fondness and nostalgia in my heart. Don't get me wrong, there are still plenty of good old days left to experience, as the best is always yet to come. But these 4 years will always be particularly special to me. It has been both a joy and a privilege to share this valuable time with you all. As I finish my remarks, I would just like to conclude by telling you all that I have been and always shall be your friend. It has been an honor to be your president for the last year, but more importantly, your classmate for the last 4. Thank you for the memories and the good times. Live long and prosper.